Crafting leads you to yourself because it leads you to your soul. And only you can discover that. It is not something that somebody can tell you. It's there. Go for it. They won't know what you're talking about. It's an experience that's truly personal. And that discovery is a great moment in your life when you finally get there. But it happens again and again as you craft. It happens again and again. There's always more. So Gail, are you going to start knitting? There are many ways that I do soul work, and of course crafting is an important part of my life that I find contributes a lot to my soul work. But having said that, there are so many other ways to do soul work, and it's in the everyday things, all the things you do as a housewife, all the cooking and the cleaning and the sorting of clothes, and all that is soul work, because you can really be alone in all this and just be with the task and appreciate it. So there are so many ways of doing it. I think if we dig hard enough, our whole existence is full of opportunities for soul work. This is just the obvious one, because everybody sees my mess at home. I didn't used to know what it was. I didn't know that craft work was soul work. I just knew I liked it and I was drawn to it, but the idea of it being soul work came on later, and of course there was a greater appreciation for doing crafting, and I think an appreciation for having learned it, because I had to learn it somewhere. Yeah. Soul work, or being soulful in crafting, it separates me from the reality around me. It gives me silence and solitude, which I think is very important in everyday life. I find that I'm able to detach from everything around me, even if it's momentarily. Yeah, I can detach. It's an act that you learn to perfect over time. I'm caring for my soul when I do crafting. There's just something about it that sometimes you don't want to let go of it. It's like you're so into it, and it matters even if it's seemingly ordinary or easy. It's what you don't see that matters, what's happening inside of you. I think the whole idea of soul work and doing everyday tasks, even if it's not crafting, it's kind of meditative. You don't have to have anybody around you. You can just be alone with yourself and completely happy with being alone with yourself and doing the mundane tasks, actually. I think the mundane tasks are the meditative moments. Yeah. Because you don't need to think hard. You can just be, and simple thing as doing the laundry, hanging up the clothes, gathering the clothes, and folding them up. There are tasks I can do all by myself, and there's really a flow to it, a pleasurable flow as the tasks get done. There is a satisfaction, I think, that no one else can understand aside from another crafter. So the appreciation comes, I think, later, that I needed that time to undo something and to work harder at it and to imagine how I could rectify it. And sometimes, many times, it's parallel to an existing situation that I have to face, personal or otherwise. Somehow, there's always a parallel. I don't know how I connected, having made a major mistake and having to rip out. I just know that going through the process, it evolves and things work out somehow. It's not something I can explain easily. it's just there. And I guess that's part of having soul work. It's not something you can explain. It's not in the field of the rational. It's always different. Doing soul work is always different on an emotional level. Sometimes it's just quiet and peace, which I probably need more often than not. Sometimes there's an excitement, a real excitement at the project. I can visualize it, and it excites me that I can see the finished project. And I guess the pleasure of knowing that it will go to someone that I know, that I care about. So it's always a different emotional experience doing soul work. According to Clarissa Pinkola Estes, in her book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, crafting is making something. When you make something, you are making soul. You are making your soul grow. So that's what she says about any kind of crafting. And of course, when I read about the craft of hands in her book, it all made sense to me. The reason why I'm drawn to it, why I do it at all, and why I continue to do it. And I think I wrote earlier that I'm beginning to believe that crafting found me, because it always finds me, even when I don't expect it. So crafting is around because it's there. It's out to get me all the time. And actually, going back to Clarissa Pinkola Estes, she calls, when we were talking earlier about soul, our essence, she talks about the wild woman. And the wild woman is the one who is so, it's the basic self. And you have to keep looking for that person, because as she says, wild women are an endangered species. So it is up to us to keep finding ourselves and to keep fueling that soul, to keep looking actually for who we really are, because it's so easy to lose it in this world that's full of busyness. I think I mentioned earlier that doing soul work, because of my crafts, it helped me to grow, to become more than I imagined I could be, and to dream dreams that I didn't dare dream before. I don't think I'm superwoman at all. It's just that I guess when I'm passionate about something, people around me can feel it. They can feel that something's going on. The soul work, the inner soul work, it translates into the outer life. I find that in the general tasks of everyday life, I have a better handle on it. It seems to flow that way. I don't really know if that's the connection, but it seems like as I've gotten older, I've been able to maybe manage my house better, manage my kitchen better. It just seems to work that way. Before, it was like not too organized. I wasn't too happy with it. But now I feel that the tasks that I need to do, I can do easily. It's not too much of a burden. Can plan better, can cook better, I think. Definitely give me time and space, and that space is a safe place because it's just me there. There's no one else around. I am by myself when I'm doing crafting. So I'm alone, it's my safe place. I can just be who I want to be. I don't have to accommodate everybody else at the time, on the moments that I do crafting. Well, when I'm talking to people who are my age, like my classmates and my friends, usually I introduce them to the idea of soul first and then crafting after, because they may have ways that they are already doing, and that's their space. I will not intrude on that. But I know that people who are my contemporaries from school are always eager to listen to something that's new. And they know what I'm into, so they ask a lot of questions. So that way I'm able to convey the benefits of not just crafting, but being in Jung, inviting them to attend the workshops, and they always say, sure, send me the list and stuff like that. And I do. And I think that's step one. If I come on too strong, they will just not call me anymore. Well, my one claim to fame is Winston Churchill. He was a knitter. I don't think it's that well known, but I know he was a knitter. And then I know of someone whose father was very ill, and I was thinking of it when Rene was talking. He had cancer and, was laid back for a while, and he got bored. So his daughter-in-law encouraged him to do a cross-stitch, one of the Amor Solo cross-stitch, and he did. He did several. And he always looks forward to doing more. He never did this before, but I guess something awakened while he was ill and bored, and something was born. So he loves to do cross-stitch, and he has made a lot. In fact, I think all his works are framed. He's still sick. He's still unwell, but he manages to finish his projects. And I give credit to his daughter-in-law for having introduced him to that kind of crafting. And definitely when you're doing crafting as a passion, it's really a feeling experience. Very much so, yeah. Even if it's not visible to others, it is very much so a pleasure. Even if you're all alone, and you know that. If you have only 2 minutes or 5 minutes, that might be the only time you'll have. So just make use of your 2 minutes and 5 minutes and look forward to maybe 10 minutes tomorrow or 30 minutes the next day. With regards to soul, okay, crafting as a pursuit, I would encourage in anybody. And then let them discover the soul work that goes along with it. It is not something you can tell them about ahead of time. It is something you discover in your process. So I will encourage at any given time whoever wants. I will show them the ropes and share my experiences, but I will let them discover what is so soulful about it. Because even just to discover it is like such a great pleasure, such an aha moment to discover that that's what it does for you.